The fighter vocation is the party's vanguard, drawing aggro and shielding their allies from attacks. It's the definition of a low skill floor, high skill ceiling playstyle, with its moveset being easy to get into but hard to master. Sometimes, however, a fighter may get tired of being relied upon by their companions. Sometimes, they don't want to be tied down and just fuck shit up on their own.
This moment forth, thou art arisen, charge and all.
Fighter is the best vocation in not just Dragon's Dogma 2, but the whole series. I refuse to elaborate. In this video, I'll play Fighter from start to finish with no pawns, creating the most optimized build as efficiently as possible, exactly what I did for Warrior a few months back. This means the best possible gear, fully maxed out Dwarven Forge, it'll all be Dwarven Forge, you already know that, and grinding out some other vocations for their augments that go well with Fighter. This is not me trying to dictate how you play the game, but simply showing off what I've learnt during my time with Dragon's Dogma 2. And I have a lot of time with Fighter specifically, so let's get started. In the character creator, feel free to make whoever you want. Taller, heavier characters have a general advantage however, due to higher stamina, carry weight, and greater melee reach. Since Chonklord embodies the peak human form, he will grace us with his presence in this playthrough. When picking a starter vocation, it may seem obvious to go with Fighter, but I recommend selecting Mage first. We only need to get it to rank 2, then we'll swap to Fighter right after. So this run is going to be mostly like 99% vibes based, however I do know what I'm doing, and unlike my Warrior run, I actually planned out what materials I'll need in advance, and Fighter needs a lot of them, which is going to be really annoying. But yeah, I've done like so many solo Fighter runs that I think I can just like YOLO it without too much planning, and it'll still be really efficient. I turned on my mic to commentate while playing, but 99% of it was just me coughing uncontrollably, so that was pointless. After doing all the bullshit in the mines, Madudu will start attacking, so just sprint backwards to skip the encounter. Board the Griffin to the mainland and meet Justin with two ends. As he takes you to the Border Watch, kill every goblin to farm discipline, and feel free to collect the plants nearby. Now at the Border Watch, we get to summon our pawn, and
this world is connected to innumerable other realms beyond the rift, which pawns, such as myself, are able to traverse.
This is not Chonklord. Be gone, foul-skinned walker. After narrowly avoiding having his soul taken, Chonklord accepts the quest Ordeals of a New Recruit as we're about to exit. Since this is an efficient playthrough, I won't do every quest, only focusing on what's necessary for our build and progression. Ordeals of a New Recruit is generally worth doing, however, since you'll have to pass that way regardless. I incinerate a bunch of goblins down the path to farm discipline before rescuing a Cardo from the Harpies. We can now claim our reward at the Border Watch and complete the quest. Since Mage is rank 2 from all the slaughtering, I purchased the Apotropasm augment for a 30% magic defense bonus, then swap to Fighter. While we do need to farm other vocations for their augments, that won't be for a while, so we'll be playing Fighter until then. Because we swapped to Fighter instead of picking it as our default vocation, the game gives us a whole starter armor set, so yes, it's better to not pick the vocation you'll be maining in the character creator, and waiting until the guild to swap over for a free armor set. Some of these early battles can be a bit tricky as a solo fighter, requiring good positioning and situational awareness. Our tankiness is quite the boon, so we can get by fine even after making lots of mistakes. Arriving in Melve, we get a flashback with the dragon, sprinting backwards off this cliff to skip the fight. Chonklord tries to attack its foot like he's in Dark Souls, then shows us the worst parry game to ever exist. It's Fire Breath, bro, you can't block that without Divine Defense. Clearly, we've got our work cut out for us if Chonklord intends to be the strongest solo fighter. While in Melve, I scrounge around, stealing valuable items from a town that just got ravaged by a dragon because that's what heroes do. With all the fruit, Hearthspud, and meat on me, I pass a few days to ripen it, crafting it all into robber. We have a quest called Medicament Predicament where I hand one to Flora, then assist Lena with nesting troubles. These two quests top up my gold reserves, so you now have two options of what to buy from the Travelling Merchant. Ring of Resolution for 100 knockdown resistance, or Fulminous Shield. We'll need the latter to complete a Sorcerer's Appraisal. Yes, there will be a solo Sorcerer grind later. It's not my fault they locked one of the best augments in the game behind it. I decided to buy Fulminous Shield because Fighter is very tanky and doesn't need to worry about stagger resistances that much. Chonklord then departs with the Soldiers to Vernworth, proving once again that I am the greatest fighter player to grace this planet. that second goblin is killing my aura, so I kill him in turn. Still the best fighter player in the world, and most humble, suck my nuts. Make sure you don't pick up any Seeker's tokens until you get to Vernworth. I accidentally looted one here and had to reload. It'll make sense later if you're confused right now. Edward Slash makes dealing with the harpies easy, and the soldiers will help with the goblins, leaving only the Cyclops. Destroying the dam will chunk off its health, and a well-placed dagger should finish the job. I then board the ox car with the guards and arrive in Vernworth. The game has opened up quite a bit now, so I loot around, most notably picking up this Seeker's token by the fountain. If you ensured this was your first Seeker's token, it'll make the Sphinx's riddles a lot easier later on. I purchased the metal augment from rank 2 fighter for a 30% bonus to physical defense. I pick up 4 other tokens, one on the tower above the Pawn Guild, the fountain in the Noble's Quarter, the sewers next to the castle courtyard, ouch, it's right in here, and next to it a house that you can find the 5th token on. Then Chonklord hands them into the Vocation Guild, earning the Ring of Behemoths for 100 knockdown power, making it the best ring in the game. Mildred behind Stardrop Inn needs someone to freeload in her house for a week, so I graciously oblige. We can purchase it off her for 20k gold in 7 days. After that I head to the slums and complete Heal of History, finding Malcolm and unlocking the Gracious Hand Vaults, which is necessary for main story progression. In the dead of night I break into this house to steal the beggar's garb and give it to Selena. This makes her realize that her boyfriend Albert has been leading a double life without her knowing. I hope she doesn't overreact. After that, Chonklord enters a coma for 2 days, which triggers the quest, the Ornate Box. It's not exactly necessary, but it's easy and gives good rewards. Sven can be found trying to buy something from a merchant in the middle of the city. Buy the Ornate Box from the merchant and give it to Sven, completing the quest. Now we can go talk to Brant at Stardrop Inn and accept every single quest he has. Deesa's plot requires you to sneak into the castle and steal the Torn Letter. In Cage Magistrate, Brant will give you a jail key which you can use to break Warder out of prison. Chonklord shows him his man titties, which convinces him to follow us to Gracious Hand Vaults. Carefully, he escorts Warder from his cell and gently places him outside, like Amazon delivery. We've now finished both quests, but instead of turning them into Brant, I hire the ox cart from the West Station and get it to take me to Checkpoint Rest Town. Oh, for fuck's sake. Wait, check this out. Having arrived safe and sound, I make a beeline for the scrap shop and buy the Jadeite Orb, then create a forgery. A day later, it's complete and I give the real copy to Eravard and the fake one to Evolve. This completes the quest, Hunt for the Jadeite Orb, gifting us with a decent amount of gold, a valuable ring to sell, and an elite tent, the best camping kit in the game. With this reward, I go to Celeste Smithy in town and buy all mace for around 20k gold. This sword has a pretty epic ice enchantment and will carry you through the entire game. With his new perfectly balanced weapon in hand, Chonklord departs Checkpoint Rest Town and goes down the rightward path nearby, where he fends off some wolves. Dropping down a stack of meat will draw 3 wolves, and you can drop multiple to lure even more. This stops them from attacking and groups them up, allowing for an easy compass slash. Going further down, we pass by a forest grove before entering the ancient battleground. As the Drake and Cyclops engage in civil discourse, Chonklord cuts through to the opposite side to find Oscar under attack. This starts the quest Toil to Rest, where we must escort him into the ruins. If Oscar got poisoned from the harpies at any point, rest at this campsite to heal him because he will die if not cured. Following him into the ruins, we come face to face with some skeletons. Chonklord loiters by the entrance, baiting the melee fighters into the sun, causing them to instantly disintegrate. For skeletons that are stuck too deep in the darkness, airward slash to the head deals pretty solid damage. Oscar at last arrives at the bell, completing the quest, and we can now loot this chest for a makeshift vault key. We'll use this for later. On the pedestal is a copy of Nation's Death Knell, another component to a sorcerer's appraisal. I exit the ruins and run along the castle walls, reaching this back path full of goblins and wolves. Follow the path until you reach a foggy area called Misty Marshes. This is the hardest place to navigate in the game, so I'll try to guide as best I can. Drop down from the ledge and head north. The enemies here are quite strong for our level and may be difficult to fight, but there's a weapon we can get here that makes dealing with them a lot easier. As you head north, you'll stumble across a dirt road lit by braziers. This is your landmark, so use it to center you if you ever get lost. Continue heading north up the path until you reach this cluster of houses, where you can find Bane of Bones inside a chest. An airward bonk to the head one-shots basically all skeletons now, thanks to it being a mace that deals 50% extra damage to them specifically. Spelltones will easily dispatch ghosts, or you can use all mace, though it's much slower. Now head south down the path, pay attention to my minimap if you get lost, until you reach this wooden post thing. Just ahead is a griffin nest with a port crystal and other loot inside. It was empty when I arrived, but the griffin flew in right as I was busy robbing him, making things super awkward. Head back the way you came all the way to the houses, then clamber up the cliffside, exiting the marshes. Take the right facing path at the top, and after getting through a bunch of harpies, you'll see the Sphinx Sphinx's shrine. The Sphinx will give us 5 riddles, but we'll only need to do 2 for now. First up, Riddle of Conviction. We can give her any item and she'll duplicate it. As a fighter, there's not really anything we need specifically, so I give her a Paw Crystal and get a second one in return. Next is Riddle of Eyes. We go into this cave and can just loot the ceiling file up top, but you can also kill the goblins inside for additional discipline if you'd like. For the third, just accept Riddle of Rumination, which requires us to find our first Seeker's token. That would be the one at the Vernworth Fountain. She says we have a deadline of 7 days, however, this is a lie. If 7 days have passed and you have the Finder's token, she will accept it. This isn't university. Make sure you've placed a Paw Crystal at the shrine, but we won't be teleporting home. Instead, drop down and enter World's End Cavern. There's a golem in this small area, and we need dabbled ore to enhance our armor later on. Thanks to Bane of Bones, our attacks deal solid damage, and by pushing over the golem, the fight should be pretty easy. Loot some dappled ore from its body before entering the other part of the cave. Spell tomes and ore mace will deal with the ghosts, but what we're after is white cobble. We'll need 7 of these for endgame, so loot as many as you can before exiting. I then teleport back to Vernworth to turn in the 2 main quests I completed earlier, Deeze's Plot and Cage Magistrate, while also picking up all additional offered quests. You can duplicate the jail key at the scrap shop before handing it in to Brant if you want, but we don't need it. Right after, we're pursued by this hooded fella. If you're a human, I recommend refusing his bribe and letting Brant arrest him so we can get a Batal border pass for every race later on. If you're a Beastron, just take his money and go. Since it's nearby, Chonklord sneaks into the castle grounds, running past the kitchen towards the vaults. Here we can use the key we got from that chest earlier. Inside is a shield called Daughter of the Evening. It's very strong but also very heavy. There are other notable items here, like 20k gold just laying on the floor and a worm hunt mantle, so it's worth looting. While on the castle grounds, I rush over to the Masquerade Hall for the main quest, running to the secret door back into the Rose Chateau. That was a pretty good mog, Chonklord. Now we can finally start monster culling. I always head to Eastern Vermin first to dispatch the goblins, because we can also finish out the Nameless Village quest while we're there. On the way, you'll often see this traveling merchant, and she sells some really rare items. We need 10 gold ore for our armor during endgame, so buy her whole stock as well as 1 Fuligen ore. Proceed to Eastern Vermin and kill the goblins, then head to the forest where you'll see a Minotaur. With Bane of Bones, it'll be easy to break his horns, leaving his head vulnerable, before swapping back to Ormace to finish him off. We need Minotaur horns for upgrading later on, so I recommend killing this enemy. In the Nameless Village, just follow the quest as normal, parkouring until you meet the Thiefmeister and you're good to go. Next is Trevor Mine. Inside you can find an Archstaff and Greatsword, which is required to unlock Sorcerer and Warrior. You may also find some additional gold ore in the mining deposit, so keep an eye out. Once you've helped the guards kill the goblins, it's on to Har Village. Oh, okay. As you head to Harv, you'll pass by this Minotaur, which you can get some more horns off. You should have enough for once we hit endgame now. Arriving in Harv, I purchased the Gauntleted Petticoat from this wandering merchant, purely because it has better stats than my current armor, and for no other ulterior reasons. The Saurians here are pretty easy thanks to Ormace, just don't forget to activate the Paw Crystal. Once Harv is done, I teleport back to Vernworth and stop at the Oxcart station. We get the quest Oxcart Courier, in which we must deliver a letter to Lennart in Melv. Upon arriving in Melv, a lesser dragon is seen attacking the city. Chonklord runs past it, ascending the Drakenhold up to the ballista. Press the lower button 5 times, then rotate it so it's pointed near the railing. Draw the bolt back fully and wait for the dragon to jump into the air. Shoot it, then charge a second bolt as it's writhing on the ground, firing it to finish it off. This dragon drops 10 Worm's Life crystals, which we need for the main quest later on. Sigurd will give us the Mystic Spearhand Vocation and Meister skill for slaying the dragon, and Lennart will give us the Fighter Meister skill after delivering the letter to him. Rider's Fury is very strong, but not so much in the early game. We'll need better weapons to make the most of it, so don't feel obligated to equip quite yet. The skills I like using in early game are Blink Strike, Airwood Slash, Compass Slash, and Impeccable Guard. Feel free to swap around as you see fit. Taking a cart back to Vernworth, I hand in a whole bunch of quests to Brant. We've still got to complete an unsettling encounter, but instead, Chonklord kidnaps the Vernworth merchant and teleports back to the Sphinx's shrine. I hand in my Finder's token, which we got from the fountain, and the Sphinx is perfectly happy despite being way past the deadline. Next is Riddle of Madness, where I offer up the merchant. This maxes out his affinity for cheap fairy stones and completes the riddle. You can pick any NPC you like for this, by the way. I just chose him because he's convenient. The reward for this riddle is an additional Paw Crystal. Now all that's left is the Riddle of Wisdom. To solve it, you need a pawn with the name or moniker Sphinx Mother, Father, or Parent, but since this is a solo run, that's not really possible. Even if it was, the Riddle of Wisdom gives a mediocre reward, so you're not missing out on much. Since my merchant is already here, I offer him up again to get the riddle wrong, but it still completes regardless, and the Sphinx takes off. Chonklord grabs hold, and we go on a peaceful evening flight across the border. She gracefully lands at her second shrine. and upon dismounting, Chonklord loots this leftmost chest for 100k gold. We don't need anything else from her, so I teleport back to Vernworth and continue the quest, an unsettling encounter. Chonklord sneaks into the secret door and takes the documents before jumping out the window. He has a little smooch, then reports his findings to Brant. All that's left now is Feast of Deception, where the doppelganger makes its return. Get back, foul soul snatcher. This takes us to the second half of the main quest, and we're now ready to go to Batal. Chonklord takes a car to Checkpoint Rest Town, then waits until the morning at the rest bench. Once you wait a few minutes, a nobleman's ox cart should spawn. Hop inside and wait for it to cross the border. The guards on the Batal side will then arrest you since you didn't present your border pass. Instead of sending you back across the border, they'll take you to jail in Bak Batal, so they're literally taking you further into their country. While in jail, you can break out using the key found in the vase. All your items will be returned and you can walk around the city like normal. Since we're in Batal, I buy the house for 30k. That's when I realized I forgot something. Make sure you do the following right before you come to Batal. It's not a big deal if you forget like I did, just mildly inconvenient at most. Activate the port crystal, then teleport back to Vernworth. Near the castle we can find Roman, who will give us the quest Dulled Steel Cold Forge. Take the Regalia sword off him, then go to the Checkpoint Rest Town. Up in Mirrodin's house there's a spell tome called Let There Be Light. Steal it, then swap to Sorcerer and equip the courtly clothes. Mirrodin will now speak to you, so give him the 3 tomes we've collected: Fulminous Shield, Nation's Death Knell, and Let There Be Light, receiving the Meister Skill Maelstrom in return. But cringe, I hear you say. Why didn't you duplicate them? Oh my god. I can't be bothered to do Trisha's quest? We only need Maelstrom to rank up Sorcerer later. There's nothing stopping you from doing both quests if you want. Just please understand that I'm the laziest Dragon's Dogma player to ever exist. Literally the walking definition of work smarter, not harder, but without the smarter. We've now completed a Sorcerer's Appraisal and earned Maelstrom, so we can go back to Batal and continue where we left off. With the Regalia sword in hand, I give it to Brocca, in which Sarah tells us to go to Digger's Ruin and collect Glimmer Coal. The cave is right nearby, and I recommend using Bane of Bones instead of Almace. That way you can see the glowing coal and pick up 15 pieces of it. Anything not glowing is fake, so don't bother with it. Once you've gotten 15, confront the Gore Minotaur at the end of the cave. You can quickly loot the chest containing Labyrinthus, which deals bonus damage to Minotaurs, greatly helping you in the fight. Vengeful Slash is also super good here, but I didn't bring it because I'm stupid. Labyrinthus is also stronger than Bane of Bones in general, so it'll replace it until we get something even better. Hand the coal back to Sarah, then give her the sword. Right after this, we need to go on a little road trip. Our first stop is the tomb of Renu Labar. On the path towards it are some really important spawns we need for materials. First up, Rattlers. We need their skin. Kill them. Just up ahead is a pack of hobgoblins. We don't need their skin, but they're right outside a cave containing a Garm who's overdue for his dentist appointment. This enemy is quite tough, but you're a fighter, we got this. Hoard a whole bunch of meat and place it one by one in front of the Garm. This will distract him for a good while, so just start smacking the shit out of him. Labyrinthus has really good knockdown, which will make staggering it easy. Once his health is low enough, he'll stop paying attention to the meat and actually start trying to kill you now. When you see this animation, it means he's about to grab and turn you into a chew toy, which is unblockable. Either use Hindsight Slash to dodge or run out of the way. Every other attack we can counter, so use Vengeful Slash. Stay vigilant and the beast will fall, then loot Sinister Fangs from its corpse. That's another material needed for endgame checked off. Stuff like this is why I love routing and planning playthroughs in video games, because not only do we get the Rattler skin and Sinister Fangs needed for endgame, but right on the opposite side of the Garm Cave is the tomb of Renu Labar, and it has 2 super important items. Climb up the ledge and you'll find yourself outside the tomb. I recommend bringing Bane of Bones with you too. Head inside and you'll come face to face with the Skeleton Lord, which guess what? Also drops mats we need. Parry has absolutely destroyed this guy, followed by an execution for massive damage. Once he's dead, go ahead and loot a Fell Lord's bone. But we're not done yet. Off on the right is a breakable wall containing a chest with the Ring of Recitation. It reduces your cast time by 25%, but your max health by 20%. This will be huge for when we start leveling Sorcerer. Guess what? There's still more we can do. Exit the cave and take the right path across the bridge. There'll be another Garm, but this cliff is here for a reason. These harpies will start attacking a woman, but they don't matter. Just kill them and... I needed that. The other Gore Harpy wasn't coming over, so I couldn't get it to fly me across the gap. It's okay, because we do have an alternative path. If the bridge is intact for you, just cross it like normal, but if it's broken, like what happened with me, drop down this ledge towards the goblins. You'll see a Cyclops next to this gap, so push it over and make it form a bridge. Cross to the other side and climb up this cliff. We've now made it despite there being no bridge. Fight your way through these knackers and bandits until you arrive outside Medusa's lair. We are not here for her head, but her bones. Just focus on killing her whatever way you like. Labyrinthus is really good for knocking her out, then a heavy attack from All Mace will finish her off. We end up getting the head anyway, but we don't need it. Just loot her bones and we're done. Time to go back to the city. In Bakbatal, I speak to Sarah to progress Dulled Steel Cold Forge by one stage. We're now ready to begin the Sorcerer grind. We need to get Sorcerer to Vocation rank 6 for the Constancy Augment, which provides a 30% knockdown resistance buff. We need it, so stuff like this stops happening. I go to the Vocation Guild and swap to Sorcerer, equipping the skills Thundermine, Levin, and Maelstrom. From the weapon merchant, I buy the Solar Providence Archstaff, which is very strong and very accessible. Finally, equip the Ring of Recitation, and just outside Bakbatal, nuke some goblins with your spells. As soon as you hit rank 2, go back and unlock the Quick Cast core skill, then wait a day and speak to Brocker, learning that Sarah's gone off to Mountain Base Cave. That is where we'll be headed next while we farm Discipline for Sorcerer. Time to head to Mountain Base Cave through the Dravnir's Grotto route, and we should hit rank 6 within an amount of time. Because of how Discipline is calculated, killing lots of small enemies is much more efficient than one big enemy. Dravnir's Grotto has lots of clustered monsters, making it ideal for Discipline farming. Playing carefully, knowing enemy spawns beforehand, and positioning are essential for solo Sorcerer, which is why if you mess up and the enemy attacks you first, just quit to main menu, there's no point trying to save that. We exit Dravnir's Grotto and see Gustafa on the path outside. Starting the quest, put a spring in thy step. We need to complete this soon, but not yet. For now, just give him 3 wild flowers to help fix his back and move on. I blast some more enemies here, nearly hitting rank 6. There's a Gore Golem here, and we do need Electrum from them for upgrades, but don't bother fighting it as a sorcerer, we'll come back as warrior, otherwise it's not worth the time. Skip past the Golem into the Mountain Base Cave, clearing out the monsters. On this platform you'll find Cinderspine. We'll use this for leveling warrior later. After reaching the end, find and rescue Sarah. She'll then return to Bakbatal. Instead of following her, I go back inside Mountain Base Cave and loot Molten Fury next to the lava thing or whatever, which is the best mace in the entire game. After that, Volcanic Island Camp is right nearby, so I stop off and place down a Port Crystal. You can also buy a second Ring of Vehemence here, and that's our rings fully sorted. Finally, we're done with the Sorcerer grind. The Warrior grind will be even longer, but that vocation is a lot easier to play solo than Sorc, so it'll be fine. We need to reach rank 8 with it to unlock the Dominance Augment for a 15% knockdown damage increase. Before swapping, I purchased the Constancy Augment for 30% knockdown resistance. Now a warrior, I invest in some strong armor because we'll be playing this for a while, then equip Satan's Toilet Brush. Unlike Sorcerer, Warrior needs a few ranks to feel decent to play, so I kill the enemies nearby, quickly ranking up. Once at rank 3, you unlock the Chain of Blows core skill, which is basically essential, and can now begin walking back the way we came. We pass by the Gore Golem again, killing it for its Electrum. That's another upgrade material marked off the list. Thanks to our armor, augments, and weapons, combat won't be a struggle, whether it's in groups or large monsters. As you're heading to Dravnir's Grotto, stop by at Gustafa's house and offer to escort him to Volcanic Island Camp. Teleport him to the Port Crystal you left there and carry him up to the hot spring, completing the quest and unlocking the Magic Archer vocation. Yes, we will be leveling this later, but it'll take like 20 minutes at most, don't worry about it. Continue your trek to Bakbatal, killing everything you see and earning as much discipline as possible. By the time I got home, I was nearly rank 7, so we still need one more. Before resuming the grind, I check in with Sarah, then take the sword back to Roman and Vernworth. This completes the questline, unlocking Dwarven Smithing. The reason we're picking this upgrade path is because it boosts the knockdown stats of your weapon and armor, plus moderate boosts to strength and magic. It's all around the best smithing style for a majority of vocations. Fighter is no exception. Once we get back to Sarah, I start giving her flowers because her affinity isn't high enough. Gifts only work once a day per NPC, so I sit on a bench for 24 hours before handing her a second batch, letting me princess carry betray her. This is important because she now just left me a gift at my door, a sunstone, a rare ore we need for upgrading. We still need to get warrior to rank 8 however. There is a goal in mind we can accomplish while playing warrior to rank it up at the same time. Our first destination is Eremitic Sanctuary, where we can get the Ogre's Bane Greatsword at the end of the cave. We will literally use this once, then never again. With our new sword, go to Darkbeast's Den, not too far away. Inside are some serpents, and we need bolt scales for upgrades. Slowly walk in with no lantern to draw them out one at a time. Serpents are weirdly powerful enemies, and you don't want to fight them all at once. Using Tidal Fury, Ravening Lunge, and Heavy Attack executions, they'll go down after a bit of effort. The bolt scale drop is slightly rare, so reload if you don't get it. Once in hand, we've just got 2 more materials left for our upgrade list. Since my health was low, I camped for the night, but was awoken by an ambush. At first they were just rattlers and a single ghost, but something didn't feel quite right. There was this eerie sound that didn't come from just the ghost, and the fog was far thicker than normal. At this point, I already knew what was going on, but tried ignoring it, like if I closed my eyes it would just go away. But it didn't, for I'd been ambushed by a Dullahan. I checked the in-game clock, and it was only midnight, much earlier than when this creature usually spawns. In other words, I had plenty of time to kill it before the sun rose. As a warrior, your parries are very effective against Dullahans, so I played reactionary, slowly whittling it down, landing the finishing blow with plenty of time left in the night. He dropped Cursed Dullahan Bones, a material we need for upgrading. Now I initially intended on farming this in Unmoored World, because Dullahans spawn way more often there, but the RNG ambush saved me the trouble. This likely won't happen in your playthrough, so you'll probably have to kill one in Unmoored. We'll get there when we get there. With this, there was only 1 more material required, and then I'd have everything needed to upgrade my endgame equipment. I rest safely until the morning, then make my way towards a Chimera's Den. There's a guaranteed spawn in Northern Batal right here. With your equipment, you can kill it easily and loot a freakish main. And that's it. We have at least 1 of every material necessary. It's high time I show you the full material list, so here you go. Take a screenshot if you need to. I teleport back to Volcanic Island Camp and buy the Dominance Augment. There's just 1 left now, Magic Archer. We need to hit rank 4, which will take barely any time. The area outside the camp is full of mobs, and you can farm easily. Magic Archer doesn't need skills, spamming basic attack will kill everything on its own. Farming bandits, hobgoblins, and rattlers got me to rank 4 in less than 20 minutes, and we can now buy the Veracity Augment for 10% stamina recovery on kill. Other useful alternative augments include Dynamism, Vigor, Exaltation, and Avidity, but they require a lot more grinding, and Veracity is already quite strong. We can now finally swap back to Fighter. Hooray! During my killing spree, I stopped off at the excavation site, placing a port crystal inside. With that set, I teleported back to Vernworth and bought the last bits of gold ore needed from the same travelling merchant we spoke to a while back, the one who loiters outside the city with her bodyguard. I took a cut to Checkpoint Rest Town for the scrap shop, so we can duplicate all our materials. Refer to the checklist and make sure you've got everything. Once you're done duplicating, we're basically ready for endgame. Although my fighter was only rank 7, perhaps this playthrough was a little bit too fast and efficient, not giving me enough time to rank up. The next main quest is Flickering Shadows, in which I speak to Ambrosius, then the Dragon Forged. Inside his cave is 5 Worm's Life crystals. In addition to the 10 we got from killing the Lesser Dragon in Melv, we have enough for a main quest taking place later on. The Dragon Forge tells us to speak to the Oracle all the way in Northern Batal, and walking there will be a great opportunity to rank up Fighter. Chonklord spends a good while slaughtering various groups of enemies before reaching the Oracle's shrine. She tells us to go to Halve, but since I'm still not rank 9 yet and would rather be before reaching endgame, I teleport to Volcanic Island Camp and farm the enemies nearby. Without a doubt, this is the best discipline farming spot if you're strong enough to take on the monsters. Fighter was at last at max rank, so all that's left is killing the dragon. I continue with what remains of the main quest, speaking to the Halve Elder and exploring the ruins of Grand Sorin. We receive the Godsbane from Rathias and exit the ruins, popping back out onto Alta Batal coast. I head to the palace and give Ambrosius the Godsbane as well as 15 Worm's Life crystals we've collected during the playthrough. The next day, we take the blade off him and are ready to confront Talos. For this incredibly treacherous encounter, I recommend acting like he doesn't even exist. If you don't kill Talos, Unmoored World will spawn 4 bosses instead of 2, allowing us to farm more Worm's Life crystals. We're also unable to progress the game entirely solo if we stop Talos, because you need a pawn to resurrect him to beat Unmoored. By ignoring him, we avoid this issue entirely. I stroll through the hinterlands until reaching the excavation site. All that's left to do now is wait for Talos to stop his stampede. It took a while, but he got there eventually. Let's go fight the dragon. Chonklord ascends Moonglint Tower and is bombarded by humanoid enemies. He sprints backwards to skip the encounter, which seems to be a common theme with this game now that I think about it. Then the dragon is called forth. By killing it, it drops 100 Worm's Life crystals, which is really epic, so we're gonna fight him properly, rather than using God's Bane to skip to Unmoored World. Fighter can't steamroll the dragon like most other vocations, so play carefully, focusing on climbing his head and staying on top to deal consistent damage. With the dragon slain, Chonklord at last claims his rightful throne. Time to go to hell. When speaking to the Pathfinder twice before the coronation ends, they send you back to before the dragon fight. You must stab yourself with the God's Bane before he lands at the boss arena, which will trigger the beginning of Unmoored World. We're so close to the end, but first we need to work on our endgame equipment. The first piece is, funnily enough, right nearby. The Vanguard's Greaves. These have the highest knockdown resistance out of any leg armor and can be found just a few blocks away. Isn't that convenient? Thing is, we have to go around this giant plateau and it takes forever, were it not for this also conveniently placed Drake. I aggro him and wait till he lands before climbing. When he jumps into the air, I hop off and land on top of this plateau. Walking across it lets us cut directly to where we need to go, saving plenty of time. The Drake won't chase you either if you're fast enough. Just down the ledge, you'll see another Drake guarding a chest. Safely climb down, loot the Vanguard's Greaves, then ferrystone away after making enough distance. I teleported to Har Village because the Seafloor Shrine is nearby. Following the path to it, Chonklord speaks with Rathias, and the Dragon Forge appears. Killing the dragon gave us 100 Worm's Life crystals, but the sword Dragon's Dogma costs 110. It's the best fighter weapon in the game, but we won't buy it yet since we literally can't. Instead, I used those funds to purchase the Subjugator's Sallet, Sovereign's Plate, and Dragon's Aegis. This is the best armor in the game for fighters, even though it looks like shit. In Back Batal, I get Sarah to Dwarvensmith all my equipment. With the materials we've been gathering this whole time, everything is upgraded all at once. Then I speak to Phases, who's housing the evil doppelganger stalking Chonklord. He throws it into this giant hole before activating the beacon outside the palace. This summons a horde of shadow monsters, but with our equipment we'll be completely fine. I rush through the final gauntlet and smack the vase, ending the encounter. We're rewarded with 35 Worm's Life crystals, which I take to the Dragon Forge to Wormforge all our equipment. The only thing left now is getting the Dragon's Dogma sword and maxing it out. Let's take on the unmoored Perchina bosses. Feel free to do this in whatever order you like. I fight the worms in Sacred Arbor and Excavation site first because I think they're the easiest. Full Moon Slash is absurdly effective against both Perchina boss types, and they're killed easily, which gives us enough Worm's Life crystals to buy Dragon's Dogma. Now to take it to Sarah, Dwarven Forge it, back to the Dragon Forge, Worm Forge it, and we're done. Our solo fighter build is fully complete. Here are our stats as well as augments. You can now spam rest to pass time until Unmoored World ends on its own, or you can fight the last two bosses with your newly completed build. As for skills, I recommend Rider's Fury for massive damage on knockdown enemies, Burst Strike for gap closing, and Cloudward Slash because it's literally fighter's best skill and highly versatile. The fourth slot is your flex, and I sometimes use Flawless Guard, Vengeful Counter, Hindsight Slash, or Full Moon Slash. The best skills are the ones you enjoy using most, honestly. It's hard to pinpoint an exact meta with fighter because it's a pretty versatile vocation. location. One of the 2 remaining Perchiners is near Vernworth, and what's also near Vernworth is a Doulahan spawn. Down at the docks, you'll see a Doulahan between this rocky gap, so kill him if you still need cursed Doulahan bones. Since the ambush from earlier set me up with those, I ignore it and fight the Perchiner instead. After slaughtering the last 2 bosses, Chonklord activates the beacon at the Seafloor Shrine, triggering the final cutscene. The evil doppelganger reveals its true form as a stinky goop dragon, he Godsbane's the heart, credits, whatever. We're done now. This run took 16 hours, which was 2 hours less than my solo warrior run from earlier. I reckon it's because my routing here was better, mostly in regards to gathering upgrade materials more efficiently. There isn't much else to do to improve our build from this point on. In New Game Plus, you unlock the ability to halve the stamina cost of a skill at the Dragon Forge. Riotous Fury is by far the best choice for this, as it's very stamina hungry, and being able to spam it more is advantageous. He can also buff the stats you gain per level for a specific vocation, being fighter in our case, to help us reach the stat cap quicker. Other than that, it's just a matter of leveling up to improve your base stats. Alright, that's it for the fighter playthrough guide. If you want something more mechanically focused, I have got this guide here. That's more of a gameplay guide for fighter. This was more of a playthrough. Oh, but if you do hear conflicting information in the 2 different guides, just trust this one. This one's got all the information in this one is correct. However, the other guide is still perfectly up to date because this game doesn't get updates and nothing's changed since I made that guide. You can watch that if you want. That's more of an in-depth kind of overview of Fighter's gameplay, really dive into what Fighter does, while this was more focused on progressing through the game as a fighter and quickly creating a powerful fighter build. Alright, that's it from me. Bye bye.